What's good, my people? We're definitely back again for another vibrations. By the way, guys, boom! I get the second one, guys. Vitamin D3 5000 IU international units, and of course the zinc. There's one more coming, guys. It is not reached yet, but I definitely have the vibrations right there. Woo, 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 woo. And I still have that little one, but hey, the little one is disappearing, man. We got them. Anyways, guys, welcome back to another reaction right there. And then I thank God I showed these things. This is definitely what you guys need to get. This one is the 50 milligram, 50 mg. I'm getting the 100 mg one. The 100 mg one is what I'm supposed to get. This is the 5000 one. It seems like they're giving people the D3 800 IU international units in the quarantine lab. But anyways, this is the stuff that I got. I know some people wanted me to take a picture for me to show them exactly what it is. I didn't get this in Dominica, guys. I got this overseas. I don't know if it kind of back to front, but anyways, I don't know if it showed properly on the thing, but it back to front to me. Anyways, guys, welcome back to another reaction right there. And then, guys, I must make mention of the situation that seems to be taking place. I have to make a correction, however, in something I stated in the previous reaction. I'm gonna correct it. It seems like there were two isolated incidences. Of course, I will talk about that in a moment, guys. But we must make mention. By the way, guys, round of applause goes out to each and every one of you guys who've tuned into yet another Mystelics reaction. I didn't do this, guys. By the way, guys, if you want to see more vibrations, definitely subscribe and turn on that post notifications so you can get all the videos as they definitely tend to come through. I must make mention of this particular situation right there, guys. Of course, we are seeing this thing. It is of 24th. That's Friday that passed there. Today is the 27th. And we have a total of 15 right there. 15 related deaths. Now, I remember some time back, I was talking about this particular incident with the situation that took place in the quarantine facility, the neglect that has been taking place. It's not like neglect has not been taking place. However, I must make a clarification about something. So the individual who sent this for me stated that there was 2 Spanish nurses, 1 Spanish doctor, and 1 Nigerian doctor sitting at the office desk. We must make a distinction between the two. When the individual, the man who was breathing, was having issues, it was the 2 Spanish nurses and the Spanish doctor that was in there. And of course, the Spanish doctor was pretty much saying, you know, this is where the Nigerian doctor came in. But we'll talk about that in a moment. But by the time they noticed, let me see. Yes, so this is based off the Spanish doctor right there. The man was lying there on oxygen, sweating like a dog, saying, I'm having hard time breathing. Patients alerted the nurse, who just looked at him and continued what she was doing. She went and took a blood pressure of another person, while this man is claiming that he cannot breathe and stuff. She didn't care enough to check the man. Meanwhile, she's on the other side of the room checking the blood pressure of, you know. So this was when the Spanish doctor was there. When the Nigerian doctor came in was indeed in the incident of the blind man. The blind man is where this took place. So the Spanish doctor was for the man who passed away, and there was a blind man who needed help, and he wanted to go and pass his stool based on what you see right there. Had a catheter in, and he was bawling out for the past hour and 30 minutes for someone to help him go to the bathroom. And this patient actually went to this Nigerian doctor, and of course, this is what is stated right there. I call the ward aide. When she comes, she will help him to go to the bathroom. That's not my job. So that is pretty much what the Nigerian doctor was telling the patient right there. And the guy was pretty much crying, so much to the point that the patient herself had to then go and try to help this man. I know it's not their job. In truth, it's not his job in truth, so to speak. But if he has, or if he's there for the Rona situation and he's bad off, right? They say he was on ventilator or oxygen or whatever, and he couldn't breathe. Maybe the oxygen tank was not working properly. Who knows? But if the guy couldn't breathe and you have him there because of the whole Rona situation, why then are patients feeling the need to be responsible for this guy? I understand that the ward aide isn't there, which is rather interesting that the ward aide should be there to help the guy. But the ward aide is not there. The next person in line is not the patient that should help him. It should be the nurses and the doctors. True or false? Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. It should be the nurses and the doctors to help the guy. But it's clear that they're saying that that's not my job. He went and called the ward aide individuals. That's what I was told right there. He went and called the ward aide individual because that's not his job. But the person that should be helping the man is not the patients. Which brings me to an interesting point that I must make mention. It seems like in this facility, and guys, don't get me wrong, because a number of persons actually messaged me on the whole situation involving the nurses and so forth and so forth. Yes, guys, don't get me wrong. Especially when it comes on to the local nurses, I believe that the nurses are doing their jobs. I believe that they are definitely trying their best. They are definitely trying their best to help individuals out. From the individuals that message me saying if I would went down there putting, I don't have time to put thing on me and whatnot. I just pretty much providing the experiences of individuals who were actually there. Okay, individuals who are actually there stating what they saw, and they asking individuals for help. The patients themselves have to be the ones helping them. There's a number of things that I've been reporting. It seems like the patients are the one helping other patients who are in need instead of the nurses and doctors. Now, guys, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying this happens all the time, but based off what these individuals tend to have noticed, it seems like the patient was the one helping the one. So much to the point, it had a time where one of the patients noticed this. There was a bus driver who came in. I think he went downstairs. I think downstairs is where they keep in the women and some of the elderly folks right there. And the bus driver had to go upstairs to call one of the nurses because apparently in one of the individual's arms there was an IV and there was blood flowing back up into the IV. So the bus driver went upstairs to get one of the nurses to come and check it. And you know what the nurse told him? The nurse told the individual that he should close the IV. That is good advice to the extent where you're not sure exactly what is going on. But you as the nurse should come and check the guy. Blood is flowing back up into the IV. I've never seen this before. I don't know what this is. This guy probably never saw this before, but he went up to get the nurse because he found this was very alarming. Why blood flowing back up into the IV? So he went to get the nurse and the nurse second just close it. Shouldn't the nurse be the one to go down and see what exactly is happening to the individual while blood is then flowing back up into the thing? I could be wrong. But shouldn't that be the case instead of sending the bus driver back to go and then close the thing when you are supposed to be the one checking it? Now, guys, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying all the nurses are horrible and whatnot, but there seems to be some rhetoric or understanding of neglect taking place in the quarantine facility. Keep in mind, guys, I said there seems to be some neglect taking place in the quarantine facility. I haven't mentioned the lady who passed away. The Friday before, we are up to 15 cases of people passing away. Even before I get to the whole situation right there, guys, you remember when there was no injections and stuff right there, people were actually living for very long. There was 0 deaths, guys, being reported. There was nothing like people passing away from the Rona situation. You remember that time, but when they started injecting people and then allowing people who were vaxxed to then come into the country, realize we are up to now 15 cases. So a number of persons have been saying, but wait a while. If back in the day where we used to just wear masks and sometimes we used to mingle, we used to do karaoke, all kind of things. Whether we catch it or not, we have no clue, but man used to go and do karaoke and mingle all over the place, go and meet people, party happening here and there and whatnot, boom, back all over Dominica, man freeing up themselves. Nobody used to pass away from Rona. But when they brought in the injection, and you pretty much noticing this all over the world, guys. Literally all over the world, you're noticing this. So if it's me that's seeing it, and guys, this is a reaction video. I'm just giving my thought process in the whole situation. If this is happening all over the world, and we are up to 15 individuals who have passed away, rule out as Rona situations, isn't there something fishy in there? And a number of persons have been telling me based off the previous video, maybe it as a result, they're trying to get up the numbers so they can get more monies to do certain things or whatnot. And that sounds very inhumane. But the question is, can you then rule this out because it sounds inhumane? Because a lot of things, remember, apartheid and slavery used to happen. They were very inhumane. But back in the day, these things were acceptable. Now the situation is happening and we hear about neglect that is taking place and nobody seems to be investigating these doctors and nurses and about the situations that tend to happen. So when people pass away now and we hear about the neglect from different patients who have been saying, but wait a while, what is going on? There's more, you know, guys. There's more. The bus driver is one of the incidents. Let me see. There's more. No, let me not say that. There's also individuals who there's also another one that I was told where individuals who wanting to get tested and they tested negative. They came the 5 days, they tested positive. They came the 5 days after they tested again. I think they tested again on the 5th day, and then they were still negative. They tested 2 days after they were negative. These people who were negative still stayed for the remainder of the 3 days, while people at the end of 10 days are being sent home and they are positive on the basis that they are asymptomatic and there's a possibility that they will not be spreading anything. Now, guys, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that there are a lot of people out there, I'm sure, who are positive. They are asymptomatic. And I've been looking at a number of studies out there when it comes down to this situation where they're saying that asymptomatic people cannot spread the stuff. They're also saying that people who have gotten injections and whatnot should not be able to spread the stuff. And then we heard that Fauci was talking about the people who got injected and said that there are breakthrough cases and a number of things where they actually carry this thing. And we're seeing businesses, and they're talking about businesses like Nassif, talking about they need to get their employees. There's another situation where one of the individuals was tested positive. She was tested positive, and they tested the contact tracing for the rest of her family members. And all of them, all the people that she associated with, they tested negative. However, in that same building, in one of the buildings where these individuals work, the people that she works with are fully vaxxed. Only to find out when they did the testing for one of them, they came back positive. So on the basis of them finding out who she was, most likely she then got it from the vaxxed individuals. Because they did the contact tracing, she wasn't going much way. She dealing with people that she knew and stuff. They did the contact tracing for them. They tested all negative. It's only when they traced it back to the employees who were vaxxed. Most likely they were, not most likely, one of them was carrying the thing, and she must have gotten it from the vaxxed individuals. This is why I keep telling people it's not about saying, oh, let's go and test the unvaxxed individuals. You have to test the vaxxed individuals too. Because they can carry it and spread it as well. So on the basis that you're not testing vaxxed individuals, they too are not equally, they can be more dangerous again. Because you are giving them a pass when they can spread it to other people as well. But anyways, guys, I digress. Going back to the situation involving the man who passed away, the Spanish individual who was there, pretty much stating his whole, he called the ward aid and whatnot. And they had to call this guy. They had to call him. They shouted out to the guy to come and get him. This was the individual, the blind guy, who was knocking on the window. And I think it was the Nigerian doctor in this one who said, don't knock on my window and those kind of things there. Neglect has been taking place. This guy, this was the blind man. This was the blind man. He didn't pass away. So thank God for that. But there was a Spanish doctor right there in this room. One Spanish doctor. So the Spanish doctor was there in the morning. Well, not in the morning. He was there before the Nigerian doctor came in. The Nigerian doctor was for the blind individual. The Spanish doctor was there for the person who passed away. And they keep calling the ward aid. Now, there's an interesting thing. We try to blame the doctors, yes, and what. Yes, they should be helping. But the question I must ask is, where's the ward aid? Because if the ward aid is the one responsible for taking care of the patients and whatnot, where's the ward aid? There's some serious, interesting things going on in this. And guys, not necessarily putting blame on anybody per se. But people need to, and I understand that doctors might feel that there's no job and whatnot, but you cannot be making the patients do the jobs for what the ward aid or the individuals are supposed to be doing. The next in line, if the ward is not there, is the nurses and doctors. The next in line is these individuals. So I really don't understand what is going on. No, guys, like I said before, don't get me wrong. I'm sure the nurses and doctors, some of them are doing very well. But then when it comes down to these kind of situations right there, it seems like they're putting the whole thing on everybody when they're neglecting certain patients to the point where some are even dying. The lady who passed away as a result, that was a Friday before the guy passed away last week. The Friday she passed away, they didn't even know the lady was, they left, They didn't even know the lady was dead. The people inside there said the lady was, they put the lady and they covered the sheet over her head. And it's only next morning they come to pick up the lady. The lady is gone, lying there with everybody else around them as if nothing happening. I mean, come on, guys. There needs to be some sort of investigation going on because we are up to 15 cases. I'm wondering what on earth is going on, brothers and sisters. Am I the only one that's thinking this thing through? Like as if we don't need to check up on these kind of things? When Project Veritas brought the information of them holding out information from a report, the nurses came out and said they're telling them not to report these things that happened to another nurse. She passed away after she took the injection. And they're telling not to report these things. Project Veritas went out and put out this information, and people were saying that this is conspiracy. Some people were trying to argue me, saying that it's conspiracy. Only now to the point where they are trying to do investigations. Well, who's doing the investigations in Dominica to find out if these things is actually happening or not? 15 people have passed away, brothers and sisters. And they're going to label these people as unvaxxed individuals, you know. Now, on the basis of being unvaxxed, guys, I don't know if they're starting to follow the world standard, because they say if you take one injection, they don't rule you out as a person who has gotten the injection, you know. You need to be fully injected for them to rule you out as injection. So even if you take one and bring complication in you, they're still going to mark you as an unvaxxed individual. Even if it is a direct result, as this injection probably did you something. And most people, let's face it, guys, there are different body types and everything like that. That's something we have to understand. There are different body types, and we need to understand this thing very specific. Neglect is going on, brothers and sisters. Patients have to be working as patients. There's even more information right there. It seems like there are two patients who apparently, one was working in the infirmary, I heard, and is a patient there. And I think the other one, what? So one was so there's one that's working. There are two of them. I think one was working in the quarantine facility. She ended up getting the Rona, so they have her there as a patient, and she's pretty much, you know, helping other patients and whatnot instead of she being a patient herself. And there's one that's working in the infirmary who tested positive. They put her there as well, and she's then helping the other patients, because it seems like these patients have to help patients. The very thing that I was talking about, where the individual themselves have to literally take out the individual, wheel the individual, the patient had to wheel the other patient, complaining, the blind man, he couldn't see, taking him into the bathroom. And she was kind of, you know, thinking about this whole situation, wondering, but wait a while, am I going to be the one to have to clean this individual if he cannot do it for himself? He had to go and release some stool and whatnot. Am I going to be the one? The patient is thinking about all these things. It's not to say it didn't happen. It happened. Where's the ward aide that they call to go and get? Where is the ward aide? Why is the patient the one taking care of other patients? Why are these patients doing this thing? It's a very, very interesting kind of situation right there. And when the lady passed away and the lady was there, people couldn't sleep. Some of these people are even suffering with PTSD. Waking up in the night, they literally tell me this, you know, waking up in the night time because of the things that they saw that happened inside there. And as if that is just something normal. Boy, I tell you. There needs to be some research going on inside there, some investigation. When Project Veritas brought up the thing, the governor and these individuals decided they're going to do the investigation. Who is doing the investigation inside the quarantine facility? Like I said before, guys, I know sometimes it sounds like Peter is paying for Paul, or for the bad decisions of some nurses that happen to come to light. But when it comes down to an extreme where individuals are dying, something needs to be done. You can't just say, oh, people dying, and then the elderly folks, oh, they all already, let them die. I mean, come on, man. These are family and friends of individuals. The blind man who was complaining says he was feeling much better at his home because people were actually taking care of him better than he was being taken care of in the quarantine facility, which is supposed to be better than the place he come. Bet you bring him back at his home. Bet you bring the blind man back at his home, because he was being treated better and taken better care of at his home. And when I bring this kind of information out there, is people say, guys, listen to me very carefully. I'm not saying that all the nurses are bad. I'm not saying all the ward aides are bad. But the people who are not doing their jobs, and as a result of then people feeling very uncomfortable, or people passing away, some investigation needs to be done. Some investigation has to be done, because this is people's lives and people's family that you're playing with, man. I think there's even one where they're trying to do some family members are trying to do some research to see what exactly is husband happened to their family, and most likely they'll end up taking these individuals to court. But we'll see as time goes by what the process is. Guys, it's not just me that's saying things, you know. This is information that I've received from patients themselves. And nurses and doctors, I understand sometimes you might feel it's not your job, it's the ward aid. But if the ward aid is not there, I mean, you need to do something about the ward aid for true. But if the ward aid is not there, the patients are the ones who have to end up helping other patients. I mean, something is wrong. You're supposed to be next in line, especially when it comes down to the Rona situation. You're bringing people inside there and people have to stay 6 feet and whatnot. You have your PPE on. You should be taking the other patients, shouldn't be going and checking other patients, and people could also remember there's also false positives as well. People probably think they forget there's false positives, where individuals who got false positives have been put in situations, especially there's full up in other places, they have been put in areas right there for false positives. Come on, guys. Come on, man. We need to do better than that. And like I keep saying this over and over and over, you know. The nurses and doctors, I'm sure they're doing their very best. Not all of them are in that kind of category there. But when it comes on to this kind of neglect that is taking place, and it's not to say it's not taking place, it is taking place. It's not taking place all the time. But when you cannot leave room for these kind of things to take place, man. Even if it's 5% of the time and the 95% is wonderful, yes, you congratulate the 95%. But we need to have at least a full 100% because these are people's lives. As long, and don't get me wrong, guys, I'm not saying that people wouldn't pass away, you know. But as long as you do your job and do your best, if a man is telling you cannot breathe and you sit down there saying you worry somebody, you're going to take blood pressure somewhere else, and the man saying he cannot breathe. And don't get me wrong, I know sometimes patients can be troublesome. But the man that's saying he cannot breathe is no longer alive today. And they later on came back out and asking for the time, and one of the patients said the exact time so they can write the time of death of the individual. And you sit down there in these kind of situations, listening to what is going on, seeing the struggle that is happening. You know the man was alive. You helped, well, not help the man, but you seen the struggle that was going on. Man saying he cannot breathe, and all you just do worry with the man, all you can check all you seen. I mean, something needs to be done in that situation, man. Yes, boy, something needs to be done in that situation. I have a set of things there, you know. Until it one day realized it was getting serious, then they helped him. There's a man who passed away. Bedridden lady wanted to go and use the bathroom. Look at another situation where a bedridden lady wanted to go and use the bathroom. And instead of ward aid or the nurses and doctors helping that lady, it had to take 3 patients to help that lady to go to the bathroom. An elderly lady. 3 patients. People who were in the ward with the same kind of issue, so to speak, that this lady has. 3 patients, 3 women patients had to then help this lady out to go to the bathroom. At least we know that Dominicans are very helpful individuals when we see other people struggling, especially in the same situation as you. But where's the ward aid? Where's these individuals, right? Where's the nurses and doctors that should be helping these individuals? To me, that's not the nurse's job now. Nurses not supposed to be bathing people and those kind of things. I could be wrong. But to me, nurses not supposed to be bathing people and taking care of people now. Guys, what are your thoughts on the situation, man? I think some investigation needs to happen in the quarantine facilities. Because we up to 15 cases now. And when I talk about that the other day, it was 10 cases, went to 15 cases. Obviously, they started ruling more people because one of the patients was telling me that, yes, I talked about that one incident. There were multiple incidences. And then, bow, 15. Friday, I talk about that, you know, guys. 10 cases. It was 9, it went to 10. No, it's 15. And nobody doing investigation to see if these people actually doing their jobs. Like I said before, and I keep saying it over and over, I'm not putting the blame on everybody. But when there's neglect taking place, some research needs to be done. An investigation needs to happen. it's an interesting time, man. An interesting time. I had a whole other thing to put out, but I'll put that out tomorrow, man. I was gonna free up myself on Monday, but then I see getting this information. 15 cases with us. What trouble is that for me, boy? And these are elderly folks. I understand it's elderly folks. It could have been their time. Yes, it's true. Guys, I'm telling you, I'm not fully blaming everything. It could have been the person's time. Maybe it was a person's time to go. But when we end all this neglect is taking place, the person could have been alive today. Who knows? If you just do your job, the person said they cannot breathe and whatnot, you try your best to help the person. You went there to try to help the person, and you realize that person cannot get help anymore, then the person passed. And I understand that. But you don't tell me a man complaining about he cannot breathe. He cannot breathe. Mark Wesa. And instead of you go and check the person, the nurses go and check the person, they over there checking blood pressure. It's not be that, you know. Meanwhile, she's on the other side of the room checking blood pressure of a patient who was already sleeping while the man is complaining about he has shortness of breath, he cannot breathe properly. Whether you have to be elevated or something, I don't know. When you cannot breathe, you sit up a little, it'll be better for you. Did they do these things? This is one of the reasons why I advocate for people doing steaming. And I don't understand how on earth we knew back in the day that's why they were telling people to steam. Now apparently steaming gone out the window and they're trying to get people to take injection. And you don't know what the injection doing you. There are a couple things. Well, let me leave that alone. Let me leave that part alone. You don't know what it's doing you. Bring back steaming. Bring back this thing. Get your vitamin zinc. Get your things. Your zinc. Get your vitamin D. My vitamin C coming soon. I have a whole set of things coming. It's not like I have a problem or anything like that, you know, guys. But this thing boosts up your immune system. And it's not just for unvaxxed people, but for vaxxed people as well. So keep that in mind, brothers and sisters. Whether you vaccinated, it's not like I have odds against you. If you want to take it, take your thing, my boy. Oh, my girl. If you want to take your injection, take your injections. Have fun. But you should also be smart that the injections doesn't really do much. In the case, you have to definitely take your things. Definitely take these kind of things to help you out. Boost up your immune system so you can better fight these things. Do your steaming. If you have to steam every night, do your steaming every night. Anyways, guys, I go too long on this thing, man. You see, this kind of situations bothers me, man. It bothers me. Especially when you get in these things from the horses themselves. It bothers me, man. Come on, man. And guys, I know sometimes patients can be troublesome. Yes, I know. I know about the whole incident that took place when people was cursing Vikey all over the place, patients. Well, I was in the asymptomatic area. People were freeing up themselves, cursing and really nearly just going crazy and thing. So I know patients can be a bit difficult. But if a man is complaining about this stuff, you check the man. Check the man. A lot of people who have passed away. Even the very first one who passed away in the asymptomatic area, she was complaining. And nobody checked the lady. And one of the reasons why one of the patients that the former, one of the people, the patient, the individual who was working there, she went back. One of the reasons why she went back there because she stated that there are nurses there, so she wants to be over there instead of going on the next side. The one who tested positive that was working there, I think, either this one or the infirmary one. Lady working at the infirmary, she became a patient and they put her there. So, anyways, guys, what are your thoughts, man? Leave your thoughts in the comment box below. This is pretty much all about for this here reaction. It's just an interesting scope when it comes down to this situation. But I just want to make it understandable that the two doctors right there, the Spanish one was the one pretty much dealing with the individual who passed away. And the Nigerian one came after, but the Nigerian was the one dealing with the blind individual, and he says it's not his job. He's gonna wait for the ward 8 to reach. But the man was complaining so much, he was in pain. He wanted to go and pass his stool and whatnot. He had a catheter inside him, and he anyways, guys, leave your thoughts in the comment box below. And I'll see you guys in the next reaction video. If you understand this video, man, but give this video another thumbs up for all the patients out there, man. The patients who are helping patients. But where's the ward 8? Anyways, guys, see you guys in the next reaction video.